This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro-Insight for the week of July 17th, 2023. A very complicated week is ahead of us. It's filled with nostalgia, awareness of the past, longing for the past, bittersweet memories, desires to crawl into our shell or under a blanket or into a nice cream pie of some sort. Very high energy, loud, communicating, nobody being quiet, and an immediate sense of our own needs being paramount for a change, no matter how we are wired to put other people first, no matter how much it is our nature to take other people into consideration. Suddenly, we're in an epidemic of putting ourselves first and not worrying so much about what's going on with other people. And then other people start surfacing. Ghosts, people from the past, situations from the past, summers past, summers years past, and light bulbs popping, popping, popping. I don't care if you're on vacation this week. It's not going to be calm or boring. The week starts with communication going into overdrive. Everyone's got something to say. We could be yelling on top of each other, could be having a really, really good time and egging each other on, with the Leo Mercury squaring Jupiter and making everything bigger and more aggrandized, more grandiose. This occurs right at the most sensitive new moon of the year, the moon in her home base of Cancer, which makes everybody tender. Did I mention sensitive? Maybe a little oversensitive, a little overreactive, because this moon is also squaring Chiron, triggering core wounds, triggering the conflict with masculinity that seems to be underpinning our society so much lately, triggering impulses to go it alone. So if you are a caretaker, you could find yourself really not wanting to be doing that so much anymore. There's a slightly otherworldly tint to all of this, to the new beginnings, to the seeds, the intentions that we are planting under this new moon, because the moon is trining Dream Weaver Neptune, and she's also in an opportunity aspect to Changemaker Uranus, which translates to, this is not the new moon to do what you've always been doing. It is possible to change how your home, family, emotional expression, safe places, comfort zones, it's possible to tweak them, to set them up differently, to do things that are a break from your norm, and to set your life up to reflect, match, take into account, and deal with a changed world. As this is happening, the nodes of the moon change signs, which they do about every 19 years. They have now left Taurus and Scorpio, and they are moving into Aries and Libra, which define the relationship axis. The North Node is in Aries, which is focused on the self, self-actualization, independence, autonomy, taking action. There's always the attendant echo of what does this mean for other people, for relationships, for agreements, with the South Node, the way of the past, being in Libra. But this highly emotional new moon happening with the North Node moving into Aries is the time for you to put your own emotional needs first. Let that one sink in. You may have to come up with some unusual ways for how you're going to restructure home and family obligations to do this, but it is the gift and challenge of this moon. The middle of the week continues the slightly otherworldly atmosphere with the sun trining Neptune. You may forgive yourself, let yourself off the hook, maybe overly idealize what is possible in your life, but that is likely to not get out of control because there is a limiter also occurring. Mars, planet of push, planet of how we use our drive, is in an opposition to Saturn, the planet of adulting, and there's a break. There's a break, B-R-A-K-E, on what we are capable of doing. We may sense obligations. We may sense something in the greater picture. We will have something with the cosmic 2x4 poised going, no, 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 be responsible. And the sensation of challenge actually, sorry to say, deepens on the 21st with the sun making an opposition to Pluto in Capricorn. Remember that anytime a planet changes signs right now through the end of the year into early January, anytime a planet changes signs, it's going to have a conversation of some sort with Pluto, the ruler of unavoidable change. So Pluto is at the end of Capricorn, continuing his metaphoric cleaning out of failed root canals, burrowing through decaying structures, foundations, institutions. And we have a look at unavoidable evolutionary level change and transformation, very likely involving your own personal infrastructure, your own foundations, your own family systems, maybe your relationship to ancestral patterns, maybe your relationship to actual humans currently in the flesh. You get a good long look at something and probably are not yet in a position to do anything about it. You just have a sense of it. It is not comfortable. So why not strut your stuff and have some fun? Because the influences that follow continue the message of earlier in the week of taking care of yourself and putting yourself first. Venus, the social director of the skies, the ruler of everything we value, the goddess of love, beauty, creativity, relationships, money. Venus turns retrograde on July 22nd. She's retrograde until September 3rd, and her retrograde begins with the sun entering the sign of Leo. So we continue to have this expressive emphasis of childlike, maybe childish, self-focused energies with Mercury, the sun, and Venus retrograde in Leo. Now, Venus retrograde gives us, as with any retrograde, opportunities to go back over territory that we have traveled. Do-overs are possible, picking up the pieces from something we didn't quite complete, maybe projects, maybe we revisit old relationships. Ghosts are prominent during this. You will very likely have people who were important to you in the past at least cross your mind, show up in dreams, show up in your social media feed, maybe even show up in your life. The same goes for creative, self-expressive interests that you had when you were younger. I've been telling people, look at this as a self-paced soul retrieval. The fact that an old flame shows up is not an imperative from the cosmos to take this person back into your life. Instead, use every resurfacing of a person or an interest or a project or a situation as an invitation for you to consider who you were then and who you are now, and see if there are parts of yourself you would like to take back and reintegrate. If you haven't sung in a long time, sing. Try out for plays, finger paint, dance. At a minimum, remember what you used to dress like and look at your appearance and how you expressed yourself just in your natural way of being. Is there any of that you'd like to bring back online? This could be a very fun time and a really revealing time And the first days come with massive epiphanies and insights and startling information, messages, conversations that tilt the way you look at things, with Mercury squaring Uranus on the 23rd. The two planets that rule the mind, normal mind, higher mind, in a challenging aspect that forces us to change how we think about something. Maybe you find out that the person that you always considered a boyfriend didn't consider you his girlfriend, even though he acted like it years ago. For one example. Hopping week, somewhat perplexing week, a week that keeps bringing you back to yourself again and again and again. Homing thought of the week: I put myself first. Song of the week: I've got two. They're both old. One's really, really old, Old Days by Chicago, and one's not quite as old and much more obscure, That Summer Feeling by Jonathan Richman. And the image of the week is a rear view mirror. You'll learn more about this in my forecast for the Cancer new moon, which is already up at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, where you can sign up for my mailing list and book a session with me, and I do have time right now. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years' experience. I host the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio on the first and third Monday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern, and I am thrilled that this week my guest is evolutionary astrologer Maurice Fernandez. I also host lively conversation on Facebook at Empowerment Unlimited and the group The Astro-Insight Lounge. I have lots of bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, and I'm really grateful to the people who support my work there. I'm on Instagram at @KABiehl and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian channel. Talk to you next week.